Hi, Spaceman again, and I'm back. So, looks like we are going to have an in-person extravaganza, November 26th, 7 p.m. at the Ovation Hollywood. It's going to be quite a spectacle of a Pokémon GO experience, and look forward to meeting my fellow trainers there. So, in preparation for that, we're going to talk about how to plan a raid battle party team. And this video is oriented towards more beginner players, and I'm going to walk you through how to use PokeBattler to look at different options for choosing which Pokemon to use against a raid boss. And for the case of Guzzlord, it's great because actually you could have just two fairly low-level trainers who even have limited Pokemon and still even succeed wildly with the raid. So basically, you just open up, you basically Google PokeBattler, and then your raid boss name. In this case, it's going to be Guzzlord, and counters. So you Google PokeBattler, Guzzlord counters, and then you're going to get choose the PokeBattler search result. Now, the search result is going to show you counters, but it's going to default to level 40 Pokemon in your collection. And I don't think that's reasonable. If you look at the little red line towards the right of the screen underlining the 40, what you do is you type over that, and you type in a lower level to represent which kind of levels you keep in your collection. I tend to cap at level 35. But in this case, it's interesting if you put 30, if you have level 30, because you can catch level 30 Pokemon in the wild. So after you do that and refresh your screen, then you'll see some decent raid counters for Guzzlord in this case. Now, we don't start at the very top for this video. We're just starting at rank 4 through 12, 4 being the Togekiss and the 12 being the Mega Latias. And for the case of the Togekiss, you're going to see that the estimator, if you kind of look in the lower right of each panel, the estimator 0.99. So you need basically one trainer. But that's not always the case, because you can see it takes 7 Togekiss at level 30. So you're going to be in the healing lobby after the 6th, even if you had 6, if you even had 6. And the time it's going to take to heal, you're actually not going to be able to complete the raid by yourself on that basis. At any rate, what's interesting is that number 9, Grand Bowl, for over a week now, you could find level 30 Grand Bowl in the wild. And Sylveon, it comes from Eevee, and that's not too hard to get either if you put the time into it. So in this case, you want to look at the movesets: Grand Bowl, Charm, Play Rough, and then number 10, Sylveon, Charm, Dazzling Gleam. So if you use Grand Bowl, it says 11 Grand Bowl are needed, and that Sylveon, 7 Sylveon are needed. So if you had 6 Sylveon and you had 2 people, then it's a super, super easy takedown. In this case, thanks to the Gamers Dome and EV2 Eevee, we have an example of 2 low-level trainers using only 2 Pokemon to do an Ultra Beast raid. And these are the 2, thank you EV2 for supplying this. She's using the Sylveon and a Grand Bowl, and they look like they're both level 30. And how I know that is the power-up cost, 5,000 dust, 4 candy for each of those Pokemon. That means that Pokemon is either level 29 or 30, more or less. And so we'll just call these level 30 Pokemon. And like I said, you can catch these in the wild without investing any resources to power them up. And in this case, I believe the Grand Bowl had just even been caught the day before the raid battle, and it was caught at the CP that it's at now. So that's quite remarkable. So basically, you have 2 low-level trainers using only 2 Pokemon in their raid party. So the key success factors for 2 low-level trainers with only a couple of Pokemon each successfully duoing an Ultra Beast. Basically, you want to research the rate counters, like we talked about with Pokebattler, and make sure that you have those Pokemon with the right moves. And you need to define your battle party and stick to that battle party without using the automatic recommended Pokemon. I call this putting aces in your places. You want to put aces in their places. And this is a sound management philosophy too, where you know the strengths and weaknesses of people on your team, and you make sure you line them up accordingly with various goals. Because there's only going to be 2 trainers in the raid we're going to show you, the trainers need to make sure that they don't get fully knocked out into the lobby at the same time. And Scott does an excellent job at explaining that. So I'm also going to point out, because like I say, the Gamers Dome, Scott, he does an excellent job at describing his raid process from his perspective. We're going to show that. But I'm going to nerd out a little bit and ask the question, what's better while catching your raid boss? Is it better to make most of your excellent throws or make all of your great throws? And the math in this is a little bit more involved, but the bottom line, if you look at the bottom, is that if you can make excellent throws, then do it. Because in his case of making 6 excellent throws and missing the hoop on 3, the catch rate, the overall success or fail rate was just a tad better. We'll say basically similar to having made, if he had made all what I call basic great throws. And I was assuming 50% boost for a basic great throw or 80% boost for his excellent throw. But bottom line is, practice your excellent throws, and once you know you can make a good amount of them in catching your raid boss, then go ahead and get into that habit. Because I hear a lot that, well, you're going to miss a few if you try excellence, so you might as well stick to the greats. And that's generally okay if you are bad at throwing and need more practice catching more simple Pokemon. That's true. But if you have been practicing, then go ahead, play your best. So because I'm a noob at making videos, I'm going to cut my part here and remind everyone, join the cause. November 26th, Ovation Hollywood, followed by Sunday, November 27th, 2022, Raid Day. Gonna be a blast, and look forward to raiding with all of you out there. And without much ado, I would like to thank again both EV2EV and the Gamers Dome for putting the time into showing, hey, 2 low-level trainers can take down quite a powerful Pokemon. So here goes.
Hey everyone, it's Scott Gerhardt for the Gamers Dome, and, well, we are here today to prove that Guzzlord isn't really all that bad. So, you're going to notice here that my team has exactly 2 Pokemon on it. One of which, actually, I used the naming trick on literally right before this raid, and its IVs were terrible. I don't know if we ever actually got them on screen, but it was I'm pretty sure it was a 0-star of some form. The Gronbull, I think, was a 1-star. So, EV2EV there has a very similar team. Actually, has the exact same team as us. So we have a little bit of a strategy that we're going to work. Now, mind you, you'll notice level 31 and 34. These are normal players. Both Pokemon for both players are at level 30. So, like, this is not hard to do whatsoever. Literally, we just put the Pokemon together that we just happen to have. So, the attacks are quite important. You need Dazzling Gleam and Charm for your Sylveon for sure. the Grand Bull needs Charm and then whichever fairy move it can get. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of not as consequential here. So, in this case, Guzzlord had Dragon Claw, so dodging was kind of irrelevant. Don't get me wrong, having Dragon Claw did make this a little easier because, like, the fairies just couldn't care less about dragon attacks. But it certainly can be done regardless of what the attack is that Guzzlord has. Might be a little more difficult. You might want to try dodging if he's got other attacks, though I know Sludge Wave is very difficult to dodge. So in this case, we had a strategy going in, and that was that once my first one went, I immediately was going to go back in here, revive. That one I apparently had other ones I'd forgotten to do, and rejoin. The reason we did that is because there's only two of us, and we both had 2 Pokemon. If we had both gone into the lobby at the same time, anytime that there's no Pokemon fighting the boss, it will actually start to regain health. So we wanted to prevent that from happening by me re-queuing after the first one. For one, it gave me my Sylveon back, which is the stronger of the two, but it also ensured that there would never be a time that both of us were in the lobby and Guzzlord wouldn't gain any of his life back. And the truth is from here, it's just pretty simple. I mean, like, there's no real advanced strategy. You hit the button over and over until Guzzlord eventually dies. Or faints, pardon me. And it just, I mean, it takes a minute. It's a couple of level 30 trainers, and it's, I mean, certainly not the most optimal lineup, but the point of it is to show you that you don't need an optimal lineup whatsoever. Again, the attacks are very important. Like, Charm and Play Rough here on this Grand Bull was required. If you don't have the right attacks, then it won't work. So you do need to make sure that you either have TMs, or you potentially could just evolve a couple of times till you get the right one. I personally recommend going the TM route. It can be a little annoying sometimes. But there we go. So, at about 126 there, my Grand Bull went down, but so did the Guzzlord. So, and this wasn't a problem at all. But one thing I want to make sure everyone knows is, so for one, Golden Raspberry. I'll eventually Golden Raspberry here. Now, you'll notice I held down the ball there. It made the circle small. That's the kind of hold down trick that you want to do. It's called setting the circle. You set it so it's the right size. Then what you do, you take your finger up off. And I'm just going to wait for it to attack. When it attacks, I fling like that. And make sure that you're always able to get at least a good set for an excellent throw. I mean, you still obviously have to hit your throw, which Guzzlord's a little challenging. But as you can see here, we'll hit a couple of them. And there's no real other tricks on catching any of these bosses or legendaries. I have been in and around Pokemon now for 6.5 years, and I have heard so many conspiracy theories about everything from Nanab hangovers to weird intentional miss strategies. No. The strategy that works is use golden berries and try to hit the smallest circle you reasonably can. Some bosses, you're probably looking at greats only. Certainly hitting that circle does affect your chances, so it's obviously better to hit a great throw than to miss an excellent. Also, it's definitely helpful to be there with somebody who is best friends. Now, we did not have this at all here. This was just a normal one, so we didn't get the extra balls, but the extra balls certainly help. And if you hit your throws consistently, you make sure you don't miss. And so we wait for it to attack so that we know when its moment of vulnerability is going to be. And we can actually time the ball. You will almost never miss using that strategy. And if you hit enough excellence, eventually, takes it a while, but eventually, you will see that the Guzzlord will find his way into the ball. Not on that one. See, this is when I was starting to wonder, I'm like, oh, come on. I'm shooting a video here. I can't have him not get caught, right? Well, here we go. Thanks, guys.